Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and today I'm going to be discussing the books I read in January. Frankly, I've had a super long day and I feel like it shows. I didn't particularly feel like filming this today, but I don't have a video planned for Friday and I've been doing really well. This video could be a train wreck, hopefully not, but I'm gonna quickly discuss the 6 books I read in January and my thoughts on them. Now, I was relatively pleased with the number of books that I read this month. I thought it wasn't bad, but really it wasn't great. The only reason why I was kind of disappointed in the number was I actually listened to 3 audiobooks and read 3 physical books, so hopefully the rest of February will be better. We'll see. And yeah, on to the books. The first book I read was The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, and the audiobook was narrated by Emily Wu Zeller. This is a very, very popular nonfiction book all about decluttering permanently and not having excess stuff. I actually decided to read this because I really like the idea of narrowing down my TBR, and because I have quite a few unread books on my shelves, and frankly, I'm starting now to get overwhelmed by the amount of unread books I have. As a whole, I like this book, but I had a few issues with certain bits of the KonMari method. The biggest problem I had with this book and her method was the fact that I found it to be a little bit privileged at times. She was really big into saying if you have doubles of something, get rid of one. Don't stockpile, don't store, don't have multiples when you don't need it. It's just taking up space. Get rid of it and then buy something as you need it. But not everyone really has that ability, and I thought it was a little bit privileged to not quite address it. But I do look forward to narrowing down my TBR and getting rid of a lot of my clothes. That was another reason why I wanted to pick it up. So this one was decent. I didn't love it, and I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I did get some valuable pieces of information from it, and I think that was its point. The next book I listened to / read was Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham, and obviously narrated by Lauren Graham. If you didn't know, Lauren Graham is a famous actress. She's most known for starring on Gilmore Girls and Parenthood. I went into this book primarily for all the Gilmore Girls related stuff, and I was a little disappointed to find that there wasn't that much about Gilmore Girls. It's a 4-hour audiobook, and that translates to a really, really short book, and I just know if I had spent money on it, if I had bought it at its full hardcover price, I would have been disappointed. I really, really like Lauren Graham's writing style, and her personality really comes through. It also helps that she narrates the audiobook herself. It is 100% confirmed, in my opinion, that Lauren Graham is absolutely her character Lorelai. I liked how she wrapped everything up and tied everything together. Gilmore Girls isn't one of my all-time favorite shows, but I really do like it, and knowing that she has such a passion for it really was nice for me to see. I thought this was okay. If you like Lauren Graham, I do recommend you pick it up. Just know that it's fairly short and there's not that much stuff related to Gilmore Girls. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It was a really quick read. The next 2 books I read are part of a series, so I'm just gonna discuss them together, and that is Red Rising and Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I'm not gonna spend too much time on them here because I do plan on doing a trilogy review after I've read the full trilogy, but this is essentially a dystopian story set in space. I very much understand the hype here on BookTube, and I had a really good time with them. I thought the world building was pretty well done. This series has such a huge scope, and it could very easily have been super overwhelming, but I found that Pierce Brown did a good job with that. I really like the characters. I'm glad that I finally understand why everyone loves these characters. Our main character, Darrow, I'm glad to finally be introduced to, and Severo, his buddy, I just love and is super fucking weird, but he's just great. Boy, is this series action-packed and non-stop. Let me tell you, if you want a thrilling, fast-paced read, these ones most definitely are from start to finish. My only real problem with this series was the treatment of the female characters. Every woman was basically put on a pedestal, and a lot of the female characters were used to propel the men forward, and specifically only the men, and so that kind of got under my skin. And the fact that, like, if it wasn't done all the time, I might have been able to forgive it, but basically every female character in this story, like, that happens to. I do think that in Golden Sun, Pierce Brown does a better job of it. He still, in my opinion, needs to improve upon the way he treats his female characters, but this one was a lot better. And if you think the first book is brutal and fast-paced and like twisty-turny, boy is Golden Sun even more so. Wow, did I really enjoy these books. I gave Red Rising 4 stars and Golden Sun 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed them, and I cannot wait to get to Morning Star. I'm excited and also very terrified for what the conclusion is going to be. The next book I read, I actually listened to again, and that was The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. I have been determined to finish off this series. I've read the first 5 books when I was a child and never finished it, so I'm now rereading and planning on continuing on with this series, and this is the 3rd book in the Chronicles of Narnia series. And it's just about a boy attempting to travel to Narnia, and he finds a horse along the way and their journey getting to Narnia. And in the grand scheme of like Narnia, it's not a huge story. It does chronicle a battle that is kind of significant in Narnia's history, I guess, but it's quite a quieter story, and I actually really enjoyed it this time around. I like seeing a different place in the world of Narnia. That was really interesting. I did fear that this book was kind of gonna fall into the like dark-skinned aggressors trope, and I think it kind of does, but this book was written so long ago and C.S. Lewis was not great. Yeah, I don't have any thoughts on this one. I enjoyed it a lot more than I did as a child, and I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was good, and I'm excited to get onto Prince Caspian. The final book I read was actually Saints and Misfits by S.K. Ali. This was a YA contemporary debut from last year that I was really looking forward to, and it basically follows 15-year-old Jana, who is a Muslim teen girl who's like dealing with the normal struggles of high school life, but is also hiding a very big secret in which she was actually assaulted by a young man who is actually very revered and thought well of in her community. What I really liked about this book is how both light and dark were balanced, because this book deals with a lot of heavy topics, and sexual assault being one of the biggest ones, but it's not a sad story. I really liked Jana's character growth. Her arc in this book was fantastic. She's a 15-year-old girl, and she's flawed, and she makes mistakes quite frequently, but the amount she grows emotionally is just fantastic. I thought S.K. Ali's writing was really digestible and really nice. The one thing that bothered me was her relationship with her best friend. I thought it could veer on the side of toxic at times, and I found that to be off-putting, and it never really is addressed because her friend grows as well, but the way they resolve things sometimes just I didn't quite love. All in all, I thought this book was great, a fantastic debut, and I very much will pay attention to anything S.K. Ali comes out with in the future. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books I read in January. Hopefully my thoughts weren't all over the place because I didn't have the chance to like sit down and plan what I wanted to say. So let me know down below what your favorite book you read in January was, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!